Who gets to decide who lives or dies? Hi, Calvin Smith here, and welcome to Creation Basics, where our goal is to make God's creation part of your everyday conversation. Now, today's question: who lives, who dies, and who decides? Now, issues like abortion are obviously a hot topic that can get into a pretty heated discussion pretty quickly. You know, the termination of a child's life is a pretty serious act. But why do people have such different views on whether it's right or wrong? And how should we decide on these issues? Now, most who hold to the biblical view that God created man in His image and that life is sacred believe abortion is equivalent to murder, which is the willful destruction of a human being by another. However, if someone doesn't believe in God or biblical authority, each person gets to decide what's right and wrong for them. So, like it or not, individuals make up societies, and societies pass laws, and of course these laws then may affect everyone that lives in that society. Now, some people believe that as long as enough people in a society agree on something, then it becomes right, majority rules. But doesn't that mean eventually anything could be right? I mean, I remember seeing a news headline way back in 2004, and there have been some crazier stories than this since then. But the article stated this: a Dutch hospital is euthanizing, killing newborn babies who don't measure up to an arbitrary standard set by the hospital. Now, this article stated that apparently in this country, Holland, in a certain hospital, instead of terminating the life of a child while it was still inside the mother, the child was born, and afterwards it was decided whether they would be killed. And that was decided whether the child was born with birth defects, that type of thing. So if the laws in this country support this, then is it right? I mean, how about 6 months after? How about a year after you're born? 2 years? 10? 12? Although this is shocking to many people, to some, it's perfectly normal. If we're just evolved animals, then we should be allowed to make our own rules and live by those rules and see who dies. Thoughts do have consequences. Some of you likely remember some embryo diagrams shown to you in school, made by a German scientist named Ernst Haeckel over 140 years ago now. He was a fanatical Darwinist, and he drew these pictures in support of an idea called embryonic recapitulation. These diagrams appeared in countless biology and science textbooks over the years, over the next 100 years, showing the supposed similarity of several creatures with humans. Now, Haeckel stated that during a person's development within the womb, the fetus retraced its evolutionary ancestry. Basically, it was said that the embryo started off as sort of kind of a worm state, and then it passed to a fish stage, and then a pig stage, and a monkey stage, etc., until it became human. And it was said that the human embryo had a tail and gill slits left over from its evolutionary past. And these facts were taught in support of evolution to countless students over many years. The problem is they were lies. Scientists have known for a very long time that people don't relive or recapitulate their supposed evolutionary ancestry in the womb, but many textbooks carry the diagrams anyway. However, even though many modern evolutionists admit that recapitulation is false, similarity between embryos of various species is still used as proof of our evolutionary past, and ultimately they're based on these fake drawings. Now, there was a man named Michael Richardson who is a lecturer and an embryologist at St. George's Hospital Medical School in London. And he actually exposed this fraud as well in an article in the journal Anatomy and Embryology. Richardson says that he always felt there was something a little wrong with Haeckel's drawings, and after he and his team had examined and photographed the external form of embryos from a wide variety of vertebrate species at a stage comparable to that depicted by Haeckel, he, Richardson, himself an evolutionist, concluded this, quote, "This is one of the worst cases of scientific fraud. It's shocking to find that somebody one thought was a great scientist was deliberately misleading. It makes me angry. These are fakes." Now, not only have these ideas been presented to generations of biology and medical students as fact, but many abortionists have told pregnant women that it was all right to kill their babies as they were still in the fish stage and they weren't human yet. So be cautious of what thoughts you accept as fact, because thoughts do have consequences, life and death consequences sometimes. In Revelation 21:8, it says, But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for the murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. So who gets to decide who lives or who dies? In the end, God does. Hey folks, Calvin here. I know you've heard it all before. Subscribe, hit the buttons, all that stuff. But here's the thing. Think of it as if you're donating to our Answers in Genesis Canada advertising campaign without having to spend a dime. With the algorithms set up the way they are, it's kind of like getting media platforms that are often quite unfriendly to Christian content to promote gospel outreach for free. Wise as serpents, gentle as doves. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, share the content, click the button. I know it's annoying, but it really helps.